You are now listening to WSN, Wolf Sports Network, live from the University of West Georgia in Carrollton, now an Odyssey station.
It's a brand new season and the end of an era for sports out of pocket.
But to be the man, you gotta beat the man, and I'm saying, woo, right here.
We bring you the craziest controversies.
Really, in hindsight, could have injured Mookie Betts. To me, that deserves a lifetime ban for a game.
Fire me up.
NBA Finals. Let me know. I think it's going to be the Nuggets and the Celtics.
I hate to say it, but Steven, you took the words out of my mouth.
And the final Twin Picks.
That's not a debate. That's not a debate. There's always a debate. There's always a debate. You can't debate Lamar Jackson.
And interviews you don't want to miss.
This is the Philly Sports Guy, and you're listening to Sports Out of Pocket.
This is former MLB All-Star Justin Masterson.
Hey, yo, what up? My name is Josh Martinez from Z100 New York.
The final ride starts now.
Let's go!
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another incredible episode of Sports Out of Pocket. I am here with Chase and with the man behind the board, Jackson, and
Andrew?
Who is this guy?
I'm
Who's
Andrew.
this guy?
No, my
Andrew,
name is
you're looking
JT.
a little different, huh?
Wait a minute. Aren't you that guy on the playbook?
That's who
I
it
might be.
is. Yeah, the better host.
Hey. Ooh.
Shots fired. But hey, we have a guy that
controversy.
is joining us today. A special guest, JT from the Playbook.
Special.
Man, we're excited to have you on, man.
Thank
You
you
ready
guys
to get
for
out of
having me
pocket?
on here, man. I'm so excited to get this going.
Yeah, man.
Andrew's in Kennesaw right now. He's meeting a friend of Jackson's right
Good
now.
God Almighty.
You're funny.
I'm going to pray for that, man. But we got a great show for you guys today. We are talking about some MLB rumors and just some MLB talk today, but also we're talking about all the craziness that has happened in the NFL free agency because, man, as soon as free agency started, things just went out of pocket. It's just been absolutely incredible to see all of the moves that have been made. And if you're a Falcons fan, you're just hoping to God that something happens for us. But you know what? Before we get into all of that, man, how's everybody's week going?
My week's going pretty good, man. Playbook went well yesterday, and we got Sports Out of Pocket today, so I'm stoked.
Hey, man, look, March Madness falls right on spring break. It's also my birthday week, so, there's no other way to spend my birthday than to do nothing but watch March
Can we sing
Madness.
to him right now?
No singing.
No
Not
singing.
right now.
Afterwards.
Honestly, I'm just excited for spring break. I'm just feeling a little discombobulated due to the fact about all the NFL trades that's happened with the Eagles and my personal favorite teams that's happened within the past week. So, but that will be a little later on in the show.
It's going to be a long show with this, isn't it?
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's just been a crazy week for me as well, man. It's midterm week, so I'm just trying to get through it.
Dude, tell
trying
me
to get
about
through because spring break is next week. Honestly, bro, I think we all need a week to just,
Yep.
relax. Let's go and let's just chill out, not have to worry about any assignments or anything, and let's just have a week to enjoy, like you said, March Madness. And how about them dogs, baby? Them Bulldogs are going to be in the NCAA tournament, and I am
First
so
round
excited
exit.
about it.
First round exit.
Whatever, man. I don't care, bro. They're in the tournament, bro. First time in 2
I don't know
decades.
that Kentucky is.
The latest bracketology has y'all playing UConn. I'm sorry. If y'all face UConn,
You're cooked.
I could give a crap, bro.
Well,
We're
I-
in, bro. Like, if we get beat by 20, I'm still excited to watch Bulldog basketball.
You're
bro.
right, you're right.
But with all that being said, man, let's get out of pocket.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
We in here talking about practice.
It's time for the latest sports controversies.
All right, so one name that has been dominating the headlines this past week, or at least, on my feed, because I'm sure my feed's different than a lot of people's, but the one thing that I've been noticing was the spat between Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James. Now, all of this just kind of spurred on because after a game, LeBron James confronted Stephen A. Smith, saying that he wanted, Stephen A. Smith was apparently talking about Bronny James on one of his podcast episodes, and LeBron James heard it. And so LeBron confronted Stephen A. Smith, saying, hey, man, you can talk about what you want, but just keep my son's name out of it. I don't want to hear my son's name brought up on anything that you say on any of your platforms. You can talk about me, just don't bring my son into it. And so Stephen A. Smith, obviously, because that went viral, it got filmed, Stephen A. Smith went on First Take the next day and just talked about how at the end of it, LeBron LeBron was being a father.
Yes.
LeBron was being a father at the end of the day. Didn't want his son's name being brought up on any of the headlines and just in a negative light. But also at the same time, I think me and Chase talked about it earlier. Bronny James is playing in the NBA now, man. He's a grown man. He's a guy that, like, you put yourself in that situation, you're gonna have to understand that media's gonna talk. And people are going to obviously point out, rightfully so, because let's be honest, folks, Bronny James in the NBA has not been good. He's been horrible. He does need to be in the G League to work on his stuff if he's ever. And if he didn't have James as his last name, would not have been drafted.
Absolutely.
Would not have been drafted. So I think Stephen A. Smith has every right to criticize him.
And it's my favorite part of Stephen A. Smith's rant, by the way, was, first of all, Stephen A. Smith didn't even want to do the apology, but he didn't realize that that whole altercation was being recorded, so he kind of felt like he had taken it upon himself to address the situation. Knowing good and well Stephen A. Smith didn't want to do this, and yes, I understand your big boy, he is getting his feelings hurt. You as a father, you're going to defend that. Well, listen, your big boy is also playing ball with a bunch of other big boys, and if your big boy wants to be a big boy, let your little boy grow up to be a big boy, okay? And what I mean by that is he's a grown man. Let him handle the controversy, the critics himself, just like you had to when you were growing up in the NBA. And the thing is, Stephen A. Smith even flat out said that he wasn't even truly talking about Bronny James. He was talking about LeBron James, because the whole thing that started the confrontation was because LeBron was out here saying that his son is better than half the players in the league. And basically what Stephen A. Smith was saying was, listen, LeBron, you don't have to pitch your son anymore. He's in the NBA. Let him prove himself. And that was not a shot at Bronny. That was a shot at LeBron saying, back off, stop being a helicopter dad, and let your son grow. You can only teach him so much, but until he actually does it on the court, he's going to be nothing but a G League player.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love my parents, so put myself in Bronny's shoes, like, back off a little bit. I'm an adult. I can handle my own stuff. I can prove it on the court if I need to. Let me handle my own business.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. Is you don't want your parents to be battling. I mean, don't get me wrong, man. I understand as as a dad, I'm not a father. I am not a father. But LeBron James, obviously wants to protect his son. He doesn't want his son to be absolutely bashed in the headlines. But like you said, man, like Bronny James, he stepped into this role, man. He wants to go and be a star, and he goes into the NBA. You are going to have to open yourself up to criticisms from the media, and that's just how it is. But JT, what do you got?
So my controversy today, the Pittsburgh Steelers should have kept Justin Fields and traded Russ.
So here's the thing about this is the fact that I didn't realize that both Russell Wilson and Justin Fields are on 1-year contracts. I thought Russell Wilson had more than just 1 year with the Steelers. So it's not even a fully guarantee that Russell Wilson is going to play on the Steelers next year. Steelers are still without a quarterback right now. So do you think that they're going to go to the draft and get a quarterback at 21, or what they should do and what they desperately need to do? Because like you said, man, I completely agree. Justin Fields needed to be their guy. They should have signed Justin Fields to 3-4 year deal, just like what the Jets signed him to, because they just got DK Metcalf. And I feel like Justin Fields with the Steelers O-line, I feel like the Justin Fields that we saw, previous years can succeed in that Steelers offense, and I think he can be better successful than what we would have seen with Russell Wilson.
I think Russell Wilson sticks with the Steelers. I mean, there's a reason why they brought in DK. Look, as much as I like Justin Fields, I think Justin Fields should have been. I completely agree with you, JT. It's indubitably that Justin Fields should have stuck as the Steelers starting QB. Stuck as the Steelers starting QB this season. But I honestly think they stick with Russ due to the fact that they brought in DK. I don't see who else they could bring in. Maybe draft a guy like Jackson Dart at that position, because I know Sanders and Ward are not going to be there unless they wait for a guy.
Well, I mean, we know Ward's probably going to be going to the top 5.
No shot they even get close to the Steelers.
But one thing that we talked about is, who were the two teams that Russell Wilson was meeting with today? It was the Giants and who else?
The Browns.
The Giants and the Browns.
Two teams who have top 5 picks. Which is very questionable.
Very interesting. So, I mean, it's honestly, I feel like the Giants and the Browns are trying to cover all their bases. Because, they could, like you said, they could go get a Cam Ward, or they could go get a Shadur Sanders, or they could get a guy that's been in this league for a while, can get a veteran quarterback for their team. Listen, man, I feel like we're going to get into this conversation later, but Aaron Rodgers needs to retire.
He just needs to go.
Aaron Rodgers, you've had a great career. It is time for you to go. But on the other side of this, I think that Russell Wilson and the Steelers do need to come to a deal, because if the Steelers try and go into free agency, and listen, Jackson Dart is a very great prospect.
He is a great
I saw what he did in the combine. He was lighting it up. He is a great guy that can throw the ball deep. He is a guy with great arm and can get outside of the pocket when he needs to. I just don't think that you just putting him into that situation with the Steelers when you have a guy like Russell Wilson who already knows the system, already knows the plays. I just don't understand why a deal hasn't been made yet.
I mean, the problem is, like, the reason I really think the Steelers should go with Justin Fields is because their main concern is the offensive line. And yes, I know Wilson and Metcalf used to be teammates. They had that chemistry already. Yeah. But the problem is, if the O-line doesn't give Wilson time, it's just old Russell Wilson. He can't escape the pocket like he used to. How effective is that connection going to be anymore if Russell Wilson doesn't have time? Which is why I'd rather have a guy like Justin Fields who's a lot more attained to get out of the pocket if pressure comes abound.
Well, listen, I have a fantastic deal for the Steelers, okay? How about the Steelers, we'll give you Kirk Cousins, and we'll give you, like a couple of first-round picks, and then why don't you give us T.J. Watt? Why don't you go ahead and just let us get T.J. Watt real quick, and we'll take that deal.
If they take
Take
Kirk Cousins, I don't want anything back. Just take Kirk Cousins.
Straight up, man. It's going to be...
You don't have to give us anything.
It's honestly, man, seriously, anybody.
Just take Kirk
Browns,
Cousins.
Giants. I know you're meeting with Russell Wilson, but would you like Kirk Cousins? We will give him to you.
I think the Browns can acquire Kirk Cousins. I mean, they
I thought so too, but after getting Myles Garrett that big extension, I think that kind of threw that out the window.
What really throws me off is with the Browns and Giants meeting with Russ. It makes me think maybe they see something weird with Shador or Cam Ward that they don't like anymore.
I don't know. Only time will tell.
All right, it's time for some cash or trash.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
It's Sports Out of Pocket, cash or trash.
All right, Chase, I'm going to go ahead and let you lead us off. What is your cash or trash?
Jackson, I know Jackson already thinks this is very controversial, but I'm going to leave it to the rest of the group.
Let me hear it.
Sam Darnold, cash or trash. Sam Darnold is nothing more than a system quarterback, and it's going to be proven when he absolutely flops with the Seattle Seahawks this year.
So that's what you were looking up earlier. I saw all of your career stats for Sam Darnold pulled up on the stat page. I was like, why are we talking about Sam Darnold?
Yeah,
but look, I think that the Vikings system really did lead to Sam Darnold having a lot of success.
Yeah.
But then we looked what happened when he doesn't get a lot of time. I mean, what was it? 9 sacks?
It was 9 sacks against
in that
the Rams.
game.
Yes.
In that game against the Rams.
Yep.
So I feel like Sam Darnold is a guy that can succeed, but also it's hard to disagree with you when it comes to him being a system quarterback because if he doesn't have the guys around him to succeed, I just don't think Sam Darnold can be that guy to step up in big game situations. I think he's a guy that can give your team 8-9 wins during the regular season, and a guy that's really good with as long as he has receivers to throw to.
Yeah.
But Sam Darnold being top guy, a franchise guy, he's never going to be that.
Okay. Right now, I think I'm looking at the Sam Darnold contract. The dude had one great year. You paid him $100 million. He was paid way too much, first of all. Second of all, I think it is too early to tell that he is a system quarterback. Yes, no, hold on. Let me explain. He had a great season under the Minnesota Vikings. Kevin O'Connell, right?
Yeah.
Kevin O'Connell is a fantastic offensive-minded head coach, and he did have weapons such as T.J. Hawkinson, a guy by the name of Josh. I forgot his last name, but the guy who stepped up in
Josh Taylor?
Yeah, no. The guy who stepped up in front of T.J. Hawkinson when he was out for 6-7 games.
Oh, Jalen Naylor's his name, by the way.
Jalen Naylor, yes.
Sorry.
And then you have guys like Jordan Addison and literally a top 3 receiver.
How have you not named Justin
Jefferson
yet?
first?
Also, let me just ask, what are the Seahawks doing in free agency? You let DK Metcalf walk, and also Geno Smith has walked away too.
You also got to remember Tyler Lockett as well. So,
what is the offense going to be?
And that's the problem.
Who's Sam Darnold going to throw the football to?
Yes, he has K9 and Charbonnet right behind him as running backs. But other than JSN and maybe Noah Fant, Noah Fant's not going to do anything.
We need to wait to see who else the Seahawks acquire here in free agency when it
I
comes to wide receivers.
I believe they will pick up somebody in free agency and draft somebody.
But who though?
Luther Burden is going to be there at their position.
So if you're the Seahawks, right, what's going to be your number one priority with this draft?
Wide receiver.
Wide receiver.
It's got to be.
It's got to be wide receiver.
Especially after losing DK and. Yeah,
and Luther Burden definitely fits that scheme very well. He's a very JSN.
My point is, by the way, about Zach Wilson is that he's only good as the players around him.
Zach Wilson?
Yeah, Sam Darnold. Sorry, Sam Darnold's only as good as the players around him. And you looked at his time in New York; he was nothing. He was nothing but mediocre. And some years he was really bad. And the best players he had around him was Le'Veon Bell, who wasn't anything special. Frank Gore, Jamison Crowder, Robbie Chosen, and then he goes to the Vikings, and now he has Aaron Jones, Jay Jettis, Jalen Naylor, and Jordan Addison. And I no wonder he had such a good season. Yeah. But then look, when they faced a stacked Rams defensive line, and he had no time. He didn't know what to do. He panicked. And Seahawks, I'm telling you, assuming they get more weapons, but especially right now, he has nobody around him, and he's going to flop.
I do like, in a sense, I do like the Seahawks defense. They just need to get a couple of more offensive key pieces. It just doesn't make any sense why, the Seahawks offense last year with Geno Smith backing, it is an offense that can be successful, and to just let them both go, especially with DK Metcalf, that made no sense. I do not understand why you let the Pittsburgh Steelers make a deal for him. I'm very curious on what the Seahawks are looking to do. Is this going to be a year that they want to compete? Because I just don't think that can happen with Sam Darnold.
Look, were they looking for a bridge quarterback for Sam Darnold to maybe find a guy sooner down the road, or are they planning to have this guy as a franchise quarterback?
I thought that's what Geno Smith was. I thought Geno Smith was a bridge quarterback.
Well, the Seahawks also have the backup quarterback in Gavin Ellis, so you also got to remember that.
All right.
And Sam Howell.
Jackson, do you have a cash or trash?
I do have a cash or trash, and it's relating to Major League Baseball. In recent news has come out, and I'm glad we have a Yankees fan here at the table. Garrett Cole was out for the season, so I want to give a little.
Goes my Cy Young.
Yeah, I want to give a little cash or trash related to Major League Baseball. With Garrett Cole being out for the season, yes, they still have guys like Max Fried, Stroman as well, but Stroman's kind of moving down.
Gil can step up.
I think that the Yankees slide down to third place in the American League East, below Baltimore Orioles and the Boston Red Sox. I think Boston Red Sox win that division. I think Baltimore Orioles, with all the acquisitions they have, and especially with the acquisition in Tyler O'Neill for a replacement who's just as good as Santander, in my opinion, I think that the Yankees slide down to third place.
Yeah. Do you still have them making the wild card, though?
I don't know.
No way the Yankees miss it.
Because we have a guy by
that
the
offense is too good for them to miss the playoffs, man. They're still going to be an offensive juggernaut. Don't get me wrong.
We have some of the best bats in the league.
Big loss with Juan Soto, obviously. Yeah. But, you have Aaron Judge, you have Austin Wells. Unfortunately, y'all are going to be starting the season without Giancarlo Stanton, but what else is new? Giancarlo's always never going to play a full season. But all I'm saying is that, we're talking about, roster roulette later as far as, postseason performers. Giancarlo Stanton is a guy that can step up in big moments.
Oh, yeah.
And Giancarlo is a big bat that y'all desperately need in chasing that, chasing the postseason. But honestly, I like you guys' acquisitions. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Goldschmidt past his prime, but that's still a good bat to have in the lineup. Cody Bellinger. I think Cody Bellinger could easily have 30 home runs this year. With that short porch and right that y'all have, Cody Bellinger could be a very good piece for the Yankees.
I'm looking at these Red Sox and Orioles teams and all the acquisitions with the health that they have. It's the problem with the Yankees is health.
Okay, but
it's health.
Well, I want to hear the Yankees fan perspective on this because look, I'm telling you, if y'all can stay healthy, it is about health. Yes. But if they can stay healthy, even with the pitching core that we talked about, minus Garrett Cole, they still have a solid rotation.
We still have a deep rotation, and with the AL East saying that dropping to third, I just don't see that happening.
Red Sox.
What sets them apart from the Baltimore Orioles? Though?
It's always been competitive in that division, but. You really think the Yankees are going to fall that far? The Yankees, one of the greatest franchises of all time, they're not going to let that happen. They're going to do something, whether it's making a big trade before the deadline. They're going to do something to make sure they do not miss that postseason.
Sorry, we also have to remember who we're talking about here. Yankees are just going to spend money until we can sit.
They got so much money, and there's stuff with the cap and all that stuff, but I don't have a problem with it, obviously, as a Yankees fan.
They also have deterioration in their bullpen with the loss of Luke Weaver and Clay Holmes.
Yeah.
So, and I was talking with Daniel Karp, a buddy we met in New York last year. He said that the Yankees are an 87-win team this season, based on
I don't see it. I could maybe give you the Red Sox. The Orioles, I can't see it. Mm-mm.
What sets the Orioles up? What sets
offensive?
the
I know no shade to the Orioles roster, but pitching especially. I mean, yeah, you lost Corbin Burns. You make it up with Charlie Morton, one of the most inconsistent pitchers in baseball. Mm-hmm. That starting rotation is so inconsistent, and it's what killed them at the end of last year. It's what made them dip into the wild card and then fumble in the wild card. Offensively, they're fine, but that pitching is going to get them nowhere. And I know the Yankees are in a similar situation in the bullpen, but their starting rotation outweighs the Orioles rotation, in my opinion, by a long shot. And if they stay healthy offensively, they're an offensive juggernaut.
Yeah, I'm a little. The only thing I'm hesitant about the Orioles is their pitching rotation. They right now have Zach Eflin, Grayson Rodriguez, Charlie Morton, Cade Povich, and Trevor Rogers, with Tyler Wells as that sixth guy.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing. But it's the thing with the Yankees. They have deterioration in the bullpen, and with the loss of a guy like Garrett Cole, who is one of the biggest reasons why they made the ALCS last year.
But they still have a pretty good rotation.
We still have a great rotation, and we got guys. Max Fried.
Max Fried's going to win Cy Young.
If he can step up in Garrett Cole's place for this season.
Max Fried's winning Cy Young. I'm telling you right now.
Hey, I know you guys lost like a pretty big piece in the bullpen with Clay Holmes. How are y'all feeling about your bullpen this year?
I still feel pretty good about it.
Who do you got? As far as in the bullpen, I can't name a guy. I'll be on and I don't really pay attention to bullpens that much.
I don't really either. That's the problem. But trust
we
me,
feel good about it.
We have a good
Devin
pitching
Williams.
rotation. Trust me, we're good.
Devin Williams
with the Yankees.
Yeah, he got traded to the Yankees.
Oh, he
this
did.
offseason.
He did. I forgot about that.
See,
they do
all
have
the
Devin
moves
Williams
for baseball this year. I totally forgot about.
I forgot
that.
about
We
that.
were too focused on the
track.
Dodgers that we didn't even pay attention to any other.
Dude,
team
there were so
besides
many
our
things that was happening. I was trying to focus on the Braves more than anything because we desperately needed somebody.
And we were sitting ducks until we got Profar.
And they have Kirk Cousins' cousin, Jake Cousins.
Oh, Jake Cousins.
He was pretty solid.
He was. He wasn't bad last year. He wasn't.
But yeah, one thing that I will agree with you on, Jackson, is that the Boston Red Sox are definitely going to be a team to watch out for as far as in that division because with the acquisitions that they made, the Red Sox are going to be a threat this year. But with all of that being said, we're going to go ahead and give some love to our other shows, and we're going to give a quick little break for us, to clear our throats, and then we're going to be right back with some roster roulette.
Hey, do you want to be a part of Wolf Sports Network?
Yeah!
Well, I have some good news for you because you can join us.
Woohoo!
So if you want to learn more about this, go to wolfsportsnetwork.com and click WIT Sports Program. With becoming a WIT, you expand your knowledge in the sports radio world and join our ever-growing family.
New face over there, you're not tripping. We got my guy JT over here shadowing the board. He's running through a WIT program right now.
Oh. Brandon, how you feeling, baby? Welcome to Sports. I'm feeling great being on here for the first time.
And we can't wait to meet you once you join us.
Wolf Sports Network is content heaven for a sports fan, but their show Sports Pack is my personal favorite. Sports Pack airs on Mondays and Thursdays from 6 to 7 on Wolf Sports Network, filled with fresh personalities, funny moments, and piping hot takes, along with call-ins that allow listeners to get in on the action. Check out Sports Pack every Monday and Thursday from 6 to 7, only on Wolf Sports Network.
It's a tale as old as time. All good things must come to an end. But this final ride is going to be legendary.
Oh, yeah.
More legendary than this.
Is this the dagger?
And this.
Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown!
So be sure to listen to Triple Threat every Friday starting at 11, only on Wolf Sports Network.
Over the horizon, a new show rises over Wolf Sports Network. To bring light to all things college sports. The Playbook, 6 to 7 p.m. every Tuesday on Wolf Sports Network. The Wolves play here.
Wolf Radio and Wolf Sports Network are proud to help reduce the 21% of adults with low literacy skills. We are collecting new and gently used books for every UWG pre-K student monthly. Give today by visiting wolfradio.com/bookdrive. That's wolfradio.com/bookdrive. College students who binge drink alcohol at least 3 times per week were roughly 6 times more likely to perform poorly on a test or project as a result of drinking. That is why the Crafty Rabbit Meadery has joined Wolf Sports Network and Wolf Radio's Drink Responsibly campaign to remind students drinking should be done responsibly and in an environment that discourages overindulging. Faculty won't take hangovers as excuses. I know that's probably an actual thing. What am I? What's
merch
going
store.
on? Merch store. Oh my gosh. See, man, when it comes to fandom, nothing matters more than the fit. The logo you wear solidifies your love. Now you can be a Wolf Sports Network fanatic with our brand new merch store powered by Ozier Apparel. Visit wolfsportsnetwork.com and click About. And you got some fresh new clothes for the merch store.
Yes,
Ladies
sir.
and gentlemen, you are not seeing things. That is not JT. That is Michael joining us for the show. Welcome to Out of Pocket, Michael. We're glad to have you. And we're glad to have you for this roster roulette.
This is Roster Roulette.
Can y'all tell we're a professional radio station? Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Roster Roulette. Y'all have seen this before. It's where we bring up 3 players or 3 moments in history, and we have to decide whether we start, bench, or cut. Jackson's having a tough time pulling it up right now, but my Roster Roulette is talking about closers / relievers. And my relievers, unfortunately, when Jackson is able to pull this up, I can't remember the year right now. There it is.
Hey!
It is Edwin Diaz from 2018 with the Mariners. It is Mariano Rivera from 2004 and Craig Kimbrell from 2012.
Oh, gosh.
Unbelievable years. And honestly, I wanted to do a different year for Mariano Rivera, but Jackson took a look and thought he was a starting pitcher from 1996.
I thought he was a starting pitcher.
Let me tell you what he did in 1996, though. This man pitched 107 innings pitched and had a 2 ERA and had over 100-something strikeouts.
Yeah. So are we going off of 96 or 04?
You know what? Since it's up there, let's go off of 04. But like I said, man, 1996 was insane. Only because Jackson thought he only had 5 or 6 saves, but he was just a purely relief pitcher.
Yeah.
And big reason why the Yankees were able to go into that World Series. And y'all know what happened in 96.
Yeah,
man.
we do.
Braves, man.
Up 2-0, coming back home and losing the next 4.
Yeah, that Yankees team was tough. But like you said, I'm going to go ahead and start with you, Michael. What do you think? Start, bench, or cut from these 3 choices?
All right. So this one's probably the toughest one I've seen so far.
Thank the Lord. I have had such a tough time trying to figure out things that are actually going to be tough to decide.
This one's good. This one's really good.
This is a good one. I'm gonna start Kimbrell. I like the record, lower ERA, and he's still got the strikeout numbers. So I'm gonna start him, and still good saves. He's at the least amount, but still good. This is. My problem with Edwin Diaz is the 0-4 record.
Yeah, and honestly, sometimes I don't like to go records based off of closers because, I mean, it looks, bad, obviously, with the 0-4, but sometimes it's just the amount of, you're in a situation, they bring you into a situation where, you maybe already have guys on base, and then you give up a pitch, and then, it's already over, so...
That 2018 Mariners bats they went cold during the later half of the season, so I don't really give Edwin Diaz too much of leeway on that. So, but I don't really know.
Yeah, I am going to go Edwin on the bench, just because the ERAs are very similar, and then way more strikeouts and more saves. So I will go Edwin on the bench, and then Rivera. That sounds crazy to cut Mariano Rivera in any situation, but in this situation, I'll cut him.
Like I said, man, he wanted to pick the 04 season. This is
look. I'll say this. I agree with starting Kimbrell and then having Diaz right behind. Now, here's the thing. I think I would flip. Now, Kimbrell is my sole starter. I mean, a 1.01 ERA.
Unbelievable.
116 strikeouts, 14 saves. That's unmatched. Diaz, I think I would have 96 Rivera over Edwin Diaz. But here in this case, I remember 2018 Edwin Diaz and how electric it was when he was on the mound and closed the game. 196 ERA, 124 strikeouts. Rivera 04 season, still incredible, just not as much strikeouts, a little less saves. Only reason I'm cutting it. But 96 Rivera would have my start on the bench.
Now,
place on the bench.
That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, here's the one thing that it doesn't show, and like one thing that doesn't show on the list here is innings pitched. Like Craig Kimbrell and Edwin Diaz both had like I think 60-something innings pitched for the entire season.
Yeah.
Mariano Rivera was pretty much the bullpen for the Yankees in 1996. 107 innings pitched with a 2-sub ERA.
That's crazy.
He was unbelievable, and the strikeouts I think trumps because I think he had like what was it 190 something?
He had 116.
116 strikeouts for that season.
And to have that many innings and maintain an ERA sub 2 and that a constant appearances throughout the week. I don't know a player in today's game that's doing that on that consistent of a basis.
And
I really don't.
That's kind of the reason, because at that point Mariano Rivera was still, I think that was only his second year in the league. So they didn't really put him into a closer role until the next year. And then that's when you know him as one of the best closers of all time from 97 all the way until like 2010. But Jackson, what do you got?
Look, man, the only reason I switched it up, I saw the 8-2 record, I saw the 5 saves he had. I thought he was just strictly either a starting pitcher or like just their straight relief pitcher setup guy. I didn't really.
Yeah, if you're basing it just based off of like what you put on there, then I can understand why you didn't want. You wanted to switch that.
That's why I wanted to switch it, and I was trying to get in contact with you about that. But so I'm looking at this list. I'm looking at the 3 guys here. Again, win-loss records for closers, I don't really pay attention to that. It's a guy who can really come down with the bottom, like the back 2 innings with the 8-9 innings, and how they can really close out the game. So, in my opinion, I'm going to start, and I don't love giving the Braves fans their flowers and all that. I'm a big Braves hater kind of guy, but I got to start Craig Kimbrell based on the 1.01 ERA is absolutely insane. I can't name another relief pitcher or a closing pitcher nowadays. Their average is maybe like 2, right above 2 or below sub 2.
Yeah, you've had guys that have like come up and had those types of seasons, but nothing that we're seeing in today's time.
Yeah, but based on the other 2, I would put 96 Rivera on. I was doing more research on it. I would put 96 Rivera on the bench and cut Diaz, but in this case, I'm going to have to bench Edwin Diaz. He was the only part of that pitching for the Mariners. The Mariners didn't have any starting pitching in 2018.
Yeah.
The only guy they had was Edwin Diaz, and their bats went cold. The only guy that they had in that Mariners lineup was Nelson Cruz.
Yeah, to be very truthful with you, I had no idea about this 2018 Edwin Diaz season. But looking at it, there's a reason why the Mets unloaded all that money to get him, because Edwin Diaz because of that season, was known as one of the best relievers in baseball, and is why he didn't start off too well with the Mets. If we remember back in like the 2020-21 seasons, we were wondering if did they just spend a bunch of money for a wash? But then that 22 season happened, where we all know the trumpets and Edwin Diaz really stepped up to be one of the best relievers in the game.
And now he's dealing with all these injuries.
And now with closers nowadays, I want to just ask you guys a question. Who do you think can reach up to Mariano Rivera's stature in nowadays closers before I get into my roster?
So if we're talking about top 3 the closers that I think can get to that point, y'all have one Helsley's really good, but Clase has to be the guy.
Clase's a dog.
He is unbelievable. I think Devin Williams' problem is that he's not really showed it in the postseason yet. If Devin Williams can have a successful season with the Yankees and have a really good postseason, Devin Williams is known as one of the best closers in the game. We have a guy that's in one of the best closers in Raisel Iglesias, but he's not Mariano Rivera levels.
But he was the best closer in the National League the second half of the season.
But to answer, to really just put a period, I think Clase is probably your closest bet.
Yeah, honestly, Emmanuel Clase, he's on track to match Mariano Rivera if he stays healthy throughout full healthy seasons. I think Clase can reach Mariano Rivera's stats.
Oh yeah, 100%.
He's on his way to it. He's, I believe, maybe about 10 saves off a season right now at this point, but the dude is only 26 years old, and he still has a long way to go. And a lot of closers aren't very known for getting super injured, and Clase has a track record of staying healthy.
All right, but forget about relievers, man. It's time for postseason, man.
Well, I want to talk about my roster roulette. I want to talk about post-season performances with 3 different World Series MVPs. I want to talk about 2009 Hideki Matsui, 2020 Corey Seager, and 2011 David Freese. And I smile when I say 2011 David Freese because I know all of you guys give me hate about the Cardinals nowadays. Rightfully so, they suck. Now, early 2010s Cardinals I loved and just made me fall in love with the I guess game of baseball, and
I guess.
Yeah,
I guess,
and
sure.
David Freese was one of those guys, even before the 2011 season. So I want to start, I guess, with Michael. Michael, what are your thoughts on this roster roulette? Who would you start bench cut?
Not gonna lie, I'm gonna start Corey Seager.
Okay.
The reason why is because of just how clutch he was that entire postseason.
Oh, we know.
Yeah.
Like, I have very bad memories of that NLCS, of him just raking against us the entire getting the 3-1 lead, and then we couldn't get him out after that. And then he did it against the Rays too. He was still clutch the entire way. So I'm gonna start him. I'll bench David Freese.
Yeah.
Hitting just under 400 for a postseason is ridiculous. And then obviously one of my favorite. I'm not a Cardinals fan. One of my favorite moments is him hitting the homer against Texas in Game 6. And then I'll go Matsui on to cut.
Listen, I'm gonna cut Matsui only because now I remember Matsui. I don't really remember it, but I do know about how electric that postseason was for Matsui. I mean, 3-4 on average is insane, but compared to Seager and Freese, I think adding the clutch factor and consistency, they just have it just a little bit more. Especially David Freese, who I am starting, like Michael just said, a 397 average, right under 400. He had 23 hits throughout the postseason, just incredible. One of the most glorious World Series moments of all time, ruined by the most mediocre call of all time. Thanks, Joe Buck.
Hey, he had listen. Don't give Joe Buck too much grief on that one.
Tomorrow
he had
night.
I think he had throat.
Did he?
Yeah, he couldn't get to a high level that year, which sucks because so many great moments happened in 2011.
And listen, the line was cold, saying "We will see you."
We will see you tomorrow.
Now that
night.
line was cold. If you could add some excitement to that call, the delivery wasn't there. But if he has throat problems, then still your fault. Corey Seager in 2020 gives me nightmares. Michael said it all. Absolutely was one of, if not the sole reason behind Mookie Betts, behind the Dodgers 3-run comeback, and then their 6-game win against, or 6-game series win against the Rays in the World Series. Clutch hitter all around. So. Same list. Actually, just flip Seager and Freese, so not the same list.
So you're cutting Matsui?
Yeah, cutting Matsui.
I'm also cutting Matsui. I feel like it's really a close race between Seager and Freese. And, honestly, here's where my biasness comes in, because the reason that I can't stand 2020 Seager, we all know why I can't stand 2020
absolutely.
Seager.
Yeah.
He was clutch in that NLCS against the Braves.
Yeah,
he was, and he's still a Braves killer. In 2021, he did the exact same thing. He was just a monster in the postseason, and he also did it in 2023 as well. Corey Seager is the definition of a guy that is meant for big moments.
Yeah.
But I mean, those Freeze numbers are just out of this world. That is ridiculous. 21 RBIs. I think that's a record. I don't know if anybody has more RBIs than that in the postseason.
I don't think so.
Not that I can remember. Not recently,
only
anyway.
batting under 4 for the entire postseason. 5 home runs. He played that entire postseason run. That's out of this world. I got to go. David Freese is my starter, and I got to put Seager on the bench.
Dude, for my own roster roulette, without biasness, right now I'm cutting Matsui, but don't sleep on Matsui. Matsui is the sole reason the Yankees came back against that. I believe it was the San Francisco Giants in 2009. I believe that was the World Series.
But we're talking about all postseason, Jackson.
We're talking about all postseason. But I wanted to talk about specifically that 2009 World Series and Hideki Matsui. If we were talking about nostalgic moments, Hideki Matsui, that's one of the biggest moments I remember from growing up as a kid. I was 5 years old. I'm pretty sure Steven was already graduated out of high school at this point.
Oh, yeah, really great.
But I'm going to cut Hideki Matsui. And now this is where the issue comes in when it comes to starting and benching. I love David Freese and so much nostalgia behind that. I remember where I was. Everybody remembers where they were when their favorite team won the World Series. Where were you when the Braves won the World Series?
Where was I? I was at a friend's apartment, and I was, crying like a little girl because my team, for the first time since I've been alive, won a ring.
Where were you?
It's in my living room in the same situation. That's the first time any of my teams have won anything, so I was crying too.
I was in my living room. It was my whole family was there. I've experienced a couple championships in my life. One from my beloved Seminoles and Atlanta United, if you care about soccer. But honestly, I'd say that I don't know if I've been more excited in my life about a championship win than the Braves in 2021.
Dude, for the Cardinals, I was a mile down Busch Stadium. I was in a Hampton Inn hotel during that Game 6 World Series.
Watching High School Musical?
You're funny. Watching the Cardinals World Series, man, I was eating some good St. Louis barbecue. Don't sleep on that St. Louis barbecue. I know that.
All while being 7.
All while being 7 years old.
7
when
years
this
old,
happened. Man.
You want to know how old I was when the
old.
Braves won the World Series?
Not as much younger than we are now because it happened kind of recently.
4 years ago.
More than just a decade
I was
ago.
17, buddy.
Back to this really quick. Between Corey Seager and David Freese, just due to, you're talking about clutch factor, Corey Seager had that clutch factor, and he had I'm pretty sure it's a record for most home runs in a postseason, and I believe that was matched with Randy Arozarena.
Yeah, about to say, Randy Arozarena in 2020
also had the same amount of homers, but Corey Seager, again, was the sole reason why the Dodgers World Series team won that year. I'm gonna have to bench Corey Seager and start David Freese. It's a toss-up to me, and it's much closer than a lot of people think. But David Freese is 397. David Freese's 397 is unheard of when it comes to a postseason performance.
Hey, Andrew
St.
says
Louis barbecue is not real barbecue. Andrew, I don't know where you are. I know you're in Kennesaw.
I see Andrew in the chat. How's Jackson's friend? Tell his friend Jackson said hi. We miss you, buddy.
Oh, and also,
I hope you're
Andrew
doing okay.
He says that pullover is tough. Appreciate it.
He likes the pullover. But anyways, it's a toss-up between Freese and Seager, but I don't really know. But do you have any honorable mentions before we switch segments?
I do have an honorable mention, and it's something that, shout out to Mr. Barker on a Triple Threat. He talked about Steven Strasburg in 2019. Yeah. I remember Steven Strasburg, and
I do too.
Like the thing is like I was following his career because he debuted with the Nationals, and like he had that unbelievable performance in his debut. Yeah. I was just wondering where he was going to go, and Steven Strasburg had just so many injuries plague his career throughout, like in the mid 2010s, and for him to get to that moment in 2019 and just be him and Max Scherzer were just a duo that could not be stopped in that whole playoff run, and nobody thought they were going to. And like you said, y'all had to deal with that in 2019, that in National League Championship Series. Do you remember how dominant Steven Strasburg was?
And I unfortunately remember how dominant Steven Strasburg was during that series.
To put in perspective about how crazy of Steven Strasburg making his debut in 2009. Remember how quickly Paul Skeens went through the minors?
Yeah.
The only guy faster to get through the minors than Paul Skeens was Steven Strasburg in 2009.
It's unfortunate how injuries deteriorated the end of his career, because he was one of my favorite pitchers to watch during the 2010s, and unfortunately that's how his career ended. Is he a Hall of Famer? That's another debate for another day. But Steven Strasburg, man, I really wish he would have ended his career on a healthy note.
Yep. All right, it's time for the lottery.
With the first pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the San Antonio Spurs select.
This is the lottery.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start this lottery off by going right into what we all are excited for next week, March Madness basketball. Okay. And what is March Madness all about? It's about teams that we do not expect making runs that none of us thought they could do. I mean, obviously we have our favorites. I mean, Auburn's probably going to be in a lot of people's championship games. You know, you have honestly, I haven't seen Duke in a lot of favorites, you know, being a team that, you know, gets to the Final Four. Yeah. But like you said, you know, any SEC team, you can look at just about any SEC team and just think, oh, wow, they're going to make a run because, you know, Auburn, Florida, Alabama, and Tennessee are all favorites in this bracket. But there is one team that I'm looking at right now, and it's just strictly because of their defense, that I really believe that they are going to make a solid run in this tournament. Man, I am so high on Michigan State. Michigan State, I look at this team, and I really think that, don't get me wrong, are they a little inconsistent at some fronts? Absolutely. But in that game against, because like right now they have it slated to where they might be playing Auburn in the Elite if it gets to that point. That game is so hard to predict.
It is.
Because Michigan State's going to rely on the big man game. Auburn, man, their three-point shooting, when it's on, man. It's an elite shooting that they have over at Auburn, and that's the reason why they're probably going to go really far in this tournament. So it really just depends on how good Auburn's three-point shooting is. But if Michigan State can, guard the perimeter, I think Michigan State could pull out an upset win against Auburn.
I think so, too. I mean, to me, Auburn is the most complete team in college basketball when it comes on and off the bench. But like you said, for Michigan State, Steven, I think they have Auburn beat on size, so they can prioritize the interior game and find a way to fatigue Auburn and limit the outside shots, which is Auburn's main point of attack. Yeah. I don't know what Auburn would necessarily do to adjust to that, but that's Michigan State's true game. It's been that way all season long. If they can make Auburn get out of their comfort zone and Michigan State can stick to their true game, I mean, that's an advantage that could easily take them to the Final Four.
I just hope to God that the seedings kind of shift, because I'd rather Michigan State not be in that same quadrant as Auburn. I would like them to, shift to another one, maybe with Florida. I'm much confident more against Florida than I am against Auburn.
What about Duke?
Duke's on the I don't know, man. I think Duke, in my opinion, is an Elite Eight exit. That's where I'm at. I don't think Duke makes to the Final Four.
I had to see their matchups, but Duke's another team that I'm really high on.
Because on the other side, man, there's another team. I'm sorry, Jackson. I'm going to go ahead and get to you before I go to the next team.
I was going to talk about Michigan State. If y'all did not watch the playbook, by the way, every Tuesday at 6 with me, Brandon, JT, and Aiden. Michigan State is one of my Final Four teams, and honestly, I think that this team can reach the national championship. Yeah. Here's why. There's one word to describe that Michigan State defense. Sigma. Sigma is one word to describe that Michigan State defense. Honestly, I love the likes of Jaden Atkins and Jackson Kohler. Jackson Kohler, I was looking at pro player comps, and Jackson Kohler is being compared to Kristaps Porzingis. And if you're being compared to a guy like Kristaps Porzingis who's dominant on both sides of the floor, offense and defense, that is something this Michigan State team has. Honestly, I see them winning the Big Ten. I see them making it to a Final Four again. But if they go up against a team like Auburn, I am not too sure. I
had to recover.
It's tough.
I had to recover from that one. I'm sorry. But there is another team that's right now I think they're sitting at a 3 seed, and it's also another team that's in that SEC, man. Texas A&M, man. Texas A&M is another team to look at when it comes to a team that can make a run in these playoffs. And, man, again, it's like you said, man, when their shooting is on, it's on, man. Texas A&M's another team to look at. Do I think they're going to be like a Final Four team? No. But do I think they can make an Elite Eight appearance? Absolutely.
I think my problem with A&M is on the defensive end. Their defensive efficiency is not the greatest. They give up a crap ton of points, but they have one of the most explosive offenses in college basketball. So I think if they have favorable matchups, as long as they don't match up with an offensive-heavy team, they should be fine. But my fear is if they were to hit an Alabama, if they were to hit a Duke, a team that scores a lot of points and lives on that side of the ball, then that's when I think A&M would get eliminated.
All right, Michael, who's your team that we should be watching in this March Madness tournament?
I think as much as I hate Florida, I know they're going to be one of the favorites.
Yeah.
I hate Florida with all my heart.
Me too.
But
yeah. Die Gator die.
When they play their best game, I honestly think when they play their best game, they're better than anybody in the country.
Absolutely.
To be honest with you. But they're just not. Like Auburn, like you were talking about earlier, I think every time I watch Auburn play, it just looks so efficient. It just looks so clean.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But when Florida plays their A game, I don't know who's going to beat them.
Right.
But they just haven't been as consistent as I think they would want to be going into the tournament.
Yeah, and we've seen some of that inconsistency happen, especially, if you're a Bulldogs fan, we were able to pull that upset victory against them, which that pretty much gave us a berth into the tournament, getting that win over a top 5 team. Florida, like I said, man, I feel like it's all about consistency. It's all about what we're going to see. Honestly, if there's anything that people should be paying attention to, it's this SEC tournament.
Yeah.
Because I feel like whoever comes out of this SEC tournament as the champion is the team that's going to be in a lot of people's bracket as their champion, because SEC has just been so dominant this year.
A lot of people think that the SEC tournament is going to be harder to win than the actual March Madness itself. And then Auburn's head coach even came out to say that playing in the SEC this year felt like a Sweet 16 environment every single game, because outside of South Carolina and LSU, everybody else in that conference is competing for a spot in March Madness. Yeah. I mean, that's 13, 16, 14 teams out of 16 teams, however many's in the SEC. That's 90% of the teams playing for the postseason, and I've never seen a conference this dominant in all of college basketball.
But speaking of the SEC tournament and that conference, again, we had this discussion on the playbook yesterday. I want to ask the three of you the same question I asked them. Who comes out of the SEC? Who is the SEC tournament champion this season?
So I have kind of I think the championship's going to be Tennessee and Auburn.
Okay.
And I think that Tennessee it's going to be a scrappy game. I think this is a game that literally could go into overtime with just how good this game's going to be.
Okay.
I have Tennessee getting the win just slightly over Auburn.
Georgia. No, I'm just kidding.
Please, that would be incredible.
No, Auburn. I think I have to go with them just because, like I was saying earlier, they're just the most consistent team in basketball. I just think they're the safer pick, and let's go Auburn.
I also have Auburn and Tennessee, but I have Auburn winning. And like you said, a scrappy game, though. That would be one heck of a matchup. I just think Auburn's efficiency, their fluentry, their depth. They have more depth than anybody I know in college basketball, and I think that's what's going to win them the tournament and potentially the whole thing.
Look, I got Florida, and the only reason I have Florida is dominant on both sides of the ball. From offensive rebounding, they are top 10 in offensive efficiency, and when it comes to defensive efficiency, they are number 7 ranked in the country as of, I believe, this morning that I did my research on. But it's going to be like Florida, Auburn. Those are probably some teams there. Auburn, with the past 2 losses, they need to bounce back.
I'm going to say this now.
They need to bounce back.
Watch out for BYU. I'm going to let y'all know now.
BYU's in the Big 12.
I know. We're not talking about just SEC. We're talking about
March Madness.
Yeah, we're talking about March Madness. I'm just saying, watch out for the Cougars.
Hey.
They're one of the most explosive three-point teams in college basketball. If they can find a consistent stride, I could see them sneaking the Elite
Also,
Eight.
man,
You heard it here first.
Other teams that have made runs before, Utah State, San Diego State, are also in this as well.
Yeah, they are.
They can make runs too, man. It's going to be a crazy March, man. There's not really a clear winner that's in our heads right now that can win this entire tournament. It's going to be insane. And we're going to go ahead and take a few moments here. We're going to show some love to the other shows, and we're also going to take a few moments to collect ourselves because we're going to get fired up about NFL free agency.
This is former MLB All-Star Justin Masterson, and you're listening to Sports Out of Pocket on Wolf Sports Network.
Hey, do you want to be part of Wolf Sports Network?
Yeah!
Well, I have some good news for you because you can join us.
Woohoo!
So if you want to learn more about this, go to wolfsportsnetwork.com and click WIT Sports Program. With becoming a WIT, you expand your knowledge in the sports radio world and join our ever-growing family.
New face over there, you're not tripping. We got my guy JT over here shadowing the board. He's running through the WIT program right now. Brandon, how you feeling, baby? Welcome to Sports
I'm feeling
Back.
great being on here for the first time.
And we can't wait to meet you once you join us.
Wolf Sports Network is content heaven for a sports fan, but their show Sports Pack is my personal favorite. Sports Pack airs on Mondays and Thursdays from 6 to 7 on Wolf Sports Network, filled with fresh personalities, funny moments, and piping hot takes, along with call-ins that allow listeners to get in on the action. Check out Sports Pack every Monday and Thursday from 6 to 7, only on Wolf Sports Network.
It's a tale as old as time. All good things must come to an end. But this final ride is going to be legendary.
Oh, yeah.
More legendary than this.
Is this the dagger?
And this.
Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown!
So be sure to listen to Triple Threat every Friday starting at 11, only on Wolf Sports Network.
Hello? Hey there, sir. Have you heard the news? What news? Sports Pack is back! That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The start of a new semester means that Sports Pack is back on Mondays and Thursdays from 6 to 7 here on Wolf Sports Network.
In 2023, the Georgia Governor's Office stated 21% of adults have low literacy skills. The U.S. Department of Education reports that children with access to print reading materials have better literacy rates. Wolf Radio and Wolf Sports Network ongoing book drive will provide a new or gently used book to every child at UWG's Pre-K Monthly. Give today by visiting wolfradio.com/book drive. That's wolfradio.com/book drive. In a recent survey, almost 53% of full-time college students ages 18 to 22 drank alcohol in the past month. That is why the Crafty Rabbit Meadery has joined Wolf Sports Network and Wolf Radio's Drink Responsibly campaign, reminding you there is no drinking under the age of 21, never drink and drive, even if it's one beer. Add food and water when you drink so you don't end up texting your ex, which means know your limits. When it comes to fandom, nothing matters more than the fit. The logo you wear solidifies your love. Now you can be a Wolf Sports Network fanatic with a brand new merch store powered by Ozure Apparel. Visit wolfsportsnetwork.com and click About.
Yes, sir.
It's getting fiery in here, ladies and gentlemen.
Is it?
I am having a very bad day. I am in no mood. This is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time.
Fire me up.
It's getting hot in here. And let's keep our clothes on because we're not that type of show. But it is time to talk about NFL free agency and the craziness that we have seen. We talked about it earlier in the show, but I'm going to go ahead and start off with this. Hey, Falcons, what you doing? What's going on? I understand. Okay, look, man, I get it. Maybe it wasn't a necessary, decision that just had to be made about with Grady Jarrett because I didn't think we were going to extend him and I didn't think that we were going to pay him the money that he was asking for. But it sucks because we just got rid of the guy that was probably one of your only reasons that you were getting any type of pressure on the quarterback. You just have basically no defensive line anymore. And now we're going to have to go, and I hope to God that the Falcons are looking at Trey Hendrickson. And in this free agency, if you can get Trey Hendrickson, and then you can also get, a Mike Green or whoever else at the defensive edge on that defensive line, it changes the perspective that I have on this Falcons team. But right now, man, what are the moves we made? Mike Hughes, great, cool.
You got Leonard Floyd.
Leonard Floyd was a
Leonard
huge
Floyd.
move from San Francisco.
That
That was a really big move. And yeah, Mike Hughes. We got Mike Ford Jr. as well. And then a move we made, it wasn't Mike Ford Jr. That's what we made a couple hours ago from Cleveland. I think we gave him like a 2-year deal. But like you said, Steven, Grady Jarrett, losing Grady Jarrett's fine. I hate it.
Yeah.
He's been a Falcon forever. So, it's fine. We knew the time was coming. My only problem is that we were – this whole Kirk Cousins situation. We knew heading into this offseason that we were trying to get rid of Kirk Cousins. We looked at the Giants first. However, no trade clause. I assume either we couldn't find a deal or Kirk Cousins said no to that because he wants to go play for New York. The Browns are really the only option we had. I know they're still kind of the quarterback mess themselves, but after they re-signed Myles Garrett to that massive deal, that throws it out the window. So now we're playing with the most expensive backup quarterback in the league, and now we're thinking, hey, how about we go get rid of Kyle Pitts? But, Evan Ingram re-signs with the Jaguars. That's out the window. Looks like we'll keep him picked as well. I know Cooper Kupp's on the market. We are just not in a spot to spend a lot of money on Cooper Kupp. And what I heard is that the Rams were asking for too much when it comes to Cooper Kupp. So I'm scared Cooper Kupp's going to be asking for a lot of money. And to me, that's not a risk I think we're willing to take because that never goes in our favor.
Now, you brought up Grady Jarrett. I want to stick with the defensive side of the ball and acquisitions that other NFC teams have made. Speaking of an NFC team, the Purple People Eaters. Honestly, these Vikings have signed Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen. 2-year, $30 million deal for Javon Hargrave. Honestly, that's pretty cheap when it comes to a guy like Javon Hargrave. And then you got a guy like Jonathan Allen. The dude is like a 5-time Pro Bowler, has been like top 5 when it comes to defensive tackles. So honestly, I think both of these guys just have a lot of riz, and I like the Purple.
Aren't you excited? Y'all got Bosa, man.
I am excited. Man. I'm very excited. 1 year, $12 million deal, but we released Von Miller.
Yeah, you did.
He's
to
old.
Get Von Miller.
Yeah.
They're almost the same player, but
yeah, Bosa's up there in age too, man.
They're just about the same player, and it doesn't really make sense to me. But because Von Miller had problem with getting injured.
Yeah.
Joey Bosa, we might get 3 games out of.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're doing. We're not making a lot of moves. We need to do something in this draft.
I signed him for cheap. So I think I know people are saying, hey, Joey Bosa, go to the Falcons. And I was like, nah, he's going to be asking for too much. But y'all signed him for really cheap. And if for that amount of money, fine, take Joey Bosa. That's fine. But yeah, I think defensively, y'all need to keep an eye on a couple more moves.
Smartest thing y'all did, though, was paying Josh Allen the buttload contract that he got in the offseason because he's going to be your franchise guy for years to come.
$250 million
unbelievable.
Record-breaking, but I'm not mad at it.
Absolutely not.
I don't know where all this money's coming from.
Listen, man.
But we're still making some moves.
Listen, it's unbelievable. And honestly, I think if Josh Allen, he can be successful with any receiving core that you throw at him.
Oh, yeah.
So Josh Allen's going to be great this year.
Look, with the Eagles, I want to talk about my team for like 30 seconds. There's not really much. I mean, we got rid of C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Not much. Y'all lost a
You guys
lot of
lost your
people.
entire team.
We
Y'all
lost
lost a
C.J.
lot.
Gardner-Johnson, Darius Slay. We got guys like Quinyon Mitchell, Avonte Maddox. still there.
Sweat. Y'all lost
Reed-
Sweat to the
Reed-
Cardinals. He was our
Oh, yeah,
He was
Josh
y'all's
Sweat,
biggest Super Bowl guy.
Look, man, there's a lot of guys we can get in the draft that I'm looking at, and honestly, they're looking at moving from JTT over to where Josh Sweat was.
Yeah.
So if he's available in
JT?
JT, if he's available
Hey,
in that
I'm
position,
right here.
the Eagles
I
can
just
draft
can't
him
wait
in.
till the draft when you draft another SEC defensive guy. But with all of that being said, that is all we have for Sports Out of Pocket this week. We're not going to be here next week because it's spring break. We're going to take some time. We're going to relax. I'm going to have to work. I'm going to have to make money because your boy is broke. But
Me too.
Me three.
we'll be back in 2 weeks. It's going to be the same time, Wednesday at 5. Make sure y'all are tuning into Triple Threat this Friday at 5 o'clock. Not 5 o'clock, 11 o'clock. And, they always have a great show. It's just a relaxing time with them. But until then, until 2 weeks, this is Jackson. This is Chase. JT, we appreciate you being on. And I have been your host, Steven. And we will see you later.